Well, today we're here to talk about electric aggregation. Now that's a topic we started talking about about a year ago. We're here with Mike Allison to find out what we've got in store for us now, and hopefully it's more savings. So thank you for joining us, Mike.
Thank you, Lynn.
And the last time we talked about it, we had to go into a lot more detail
Right.
because it was kind of a new concept. The key is it's time for us to make some choices again as
Right.
residents and small businesses. But before we get into that, let's remind everybody why we're even talking about this. This is kind of a new idea where people go together to buy energy.
Right, yeah, it's a relatively new idea. The legislature passed legislation in 2011 that started the process. And the process is one of having conducting a referendum so everybody gets an opportunity to vote on it. And our residents in the spring of 2012 approved participating in an aggregation program. So we were contacted by our neighbors, and the catalyst was Buffalo Grove. So they literally just picked the communities that border them, one of them being Vernon Hills. So the 7 of us, it's Buffalo Grove, Palatine, Wheeling, Arlington Heights, Lincolnshire, Long Grove, Vernon Hills. I hope that's 7
You got
of
them
us.
all. That was 7. So.
So we're all together, and we went out in that initial work program we did back in the spring of 2012, and we got rates. And at that time, the ComEd rate, it was about 36% less than the Commonwealth Edison rate. Now, there's a lot of numbers floating. We're going to float around today, unfortunately. And one of them is, this is only in the supply portion of your bill. So take a look at the top portion of your Commonwealth Edison bill, which, by the way, ComEd still bills no matter who you get your energy supply from. And it's about 35% of the bill is the supply part, or in our case, Integris.
Okay, so that's Integris got the contract for the
In
whole
2012.
consortium for all those
7
communities.
Right.
So unless you opted out, our residents and our small businesses then were part of this consortium.
Correct.
So it was still ComEd on the bill. ComEd still
Right.
does the billing and the servicing and the
they bring the
infrastructure.
electricity to your home.
So you still end up with
Right.
ComEd in some
Right.
way, shape, or form.
Right.
But the Integris part of it, that energy supply coming in, we were actually able to save about 36% over what ComEd had for rates at that time.
Correct. And then that's the variability that we were talking about before we started here today, is that now Commonwealth Edison does have better rates, not as good a rates as we're going to be talking about, but better rates than they had previously, because they were locked into a long-term contract. And I learned something about electricity as a commodity. It changes. There's a market, a futures market, just like there is for corn and
pork bellies,
wheat and pork bellies and everything else. So it's a moving target. So you got to lock in, and that's what.
So ComEd had locked in before, and their rate was not so.
multi-year agreement. And I think from what I understand, back then, the idea was that there was going to be continually escalating supply cost increases. So locking in made a lot of sense. You know, it's like any of us, if we could lock into gasoline prices, is that a good thing or a bad thing? We don't, the future, you're hedging, you're taking a chance on the future.
Well, now what we're looking at is we're coming out of that contract that we had with Integris, and the village and the consortium have decided to go forward again for another year with Integris.
With 11 months.
With
to
11
be
months,
exact.
okay.
And we did look at a couple other suppliers just to check and make sure Integris, their revised rate was competitive.
Okay. And it looked good?
Yes, it did look good. And what we wanted to do, and the benefit of that, of course, is then everybody doesn't have to worry about changing. And not that there would be anything for you to do as a resident. You could literally do nothing and be changed. But the Integris rate now will, you'll be continuing to work with that one company. And I know there's some confusion too. We all get these solicitations at home. And by the way, I should say it right now, if you want to buy from XYZ Energy or ABC Energy, do it. That is a purely personal choice. And then a couple of residents too called us and said, I want to stay with ComEd. I'm concerned, the reliability, whatever your reasons are, you can do that. You know. Now, we feel, of course, in advocating for, at some level, Integris, is you're saving money. And it is a commodity. You know, you're not getting a better banana here than a banana you'd buy from somewhere else. It's electricity. And we're buying 100% renewable.
Well, let's talk about that,
Right.
because you guys and the consortium, which is nice because you're all together, you got buying power, but you also said we want to look at renewable sources.
Right.
So I think a lot of wind generated, and so
And
that's
hydroelectric.
and that's
and
going to
solar.
continue.
Yeah. Yeah, and that will continue for some of us. Now, I should say, we did have a discussion about that, and a few communities wanted to provide options from green that you could, to make it simple, from going to green to brown, non-renewable, renewable versus what they call standard. That's the language in the industry, as I understand it. And so, what we decided on, and I'm familiar, Wheeling and Arlington Heights did the same thing. We said we're going to have 100% renewable. Rather than opt-in, opt-out, it's, for the average customer, it's $7 more a year, annually. Not monthly, $7 a year. So it seemed like such a small amount of money, and again, it's a policy decision that the board made, that it's good for the environment, and it's a very low cost.
Well, and by supporting Integris in purchasing the commodity of energy from them, we are supporting that infrastructure that helps make more renewable sources. So we are doing.
We drive down to Springfield and see the wind turbines, and actually, we visited ZF Industries, which is a company in town. They remanufacture wind turbine, the housings. So it's interesting.
So
There's a local connection. In those businesses.
Well, and the good news is too, even though ComEd's energy portion of their bill is going to come down, we still say Integris is going to be less than that.
Right,
so
right.
There's there's cost savings and the renewable.
Right, it's about 7% this year.
Okay.
Now, and again, these are all supply numbers. The 35% of your bill, which is supply, will be about 7% less than a Commonwealth Edison bill for your home. Now, it will go up probably, if you look at your entire bill, the prices, and so I want to be real clear to people, you're not going to have 7% less cost on the supply side of your bill going forward, because the prices have gone up, and we're going to get into that a little bit. So we're going to be 7% less than what Commonwealth Edison's offering today, but we're going to be more money than what you and I paid and all the residents in town who are Integris from, say, just a month ago. So our billing, our reading, which will take place in July, and you get billed in August, that is going to go up, and probably will go up, if you look at the entire bill, maybe 5-6%, something like that.
But that's
of the entire bill.
You talked about how it's built into the season, and that's the big
Right,
season for
right,
electricity. So
right.
that's what everybody does. They kind of
Right,
boost
right,
it up in there
right.
to cover their the supply needs that you need for hot summer electricity needs there.
And I think that's worth mentioning. Okay, so why did electricity go? You know, things looked really great last year, of course, and they still are very good. We're still paying considerably less than what you were paying ComEd in May of 2012. Much less, and I don't recall the numbers, but even with this slight increase on overall bill. But for example, one of the factors that goes into it, and we knew this going into it about a month or two ago when we started seriously looking at this again, is they call it a PJM charge, and it literally is a consortium of power companies throughout the eastern United States coming into the Midwest that provide supply for peak demand, or transmission, I should say, for peak demand. So what they have to do is have this whole infrastructure and all of us are getting a little more knowledgeable about electricity, right? Because they're talking about batteries with hybrid cars and all that stuff. Well, we know from classes many years ago that storing electricity is not an easy thing to do. So you have to have all the supply like ready to be generated and coming to your house or business. And we all know, unfortunately, by our bills that we get from July, our electric bills, and then we look at our November electric bills, quite a bit different.
Yeah. So
but that whole system has to be geared up for July.
and it
has
doesn't
to
really
be
matter who you're
ready
with,
12
because
months
it's industry-wide.
Right. And that charge goes to, if you're in Danville with Amron, if you're in Commonwealth Edison in Joe Davies County, or if you're in, Wisconsin Electric Power in Wisconsin, that PJM charge or that, capacity charge is
It's just what we have.
increased, and all those utilities have to pay for it.
Okay, so it's not something we can get away with
Right.
by going to Integris, but
Right.
we have other benefits from being
Right.
there.
Right, and that really is that aggregating or collectively buying the electricity. Because, of course, the supplier knows they're going to have X number of customers, and you're able to supply it across this large group of customers.
Yeah, and it's great that you guys could work together and work on that, and that the consortium is continuing. That's important.
Right.
So.
And again, the credit initially is with Buffalo Grove. They really started it. We had originally talked about the county, doing it county-wide, and some different ideas. There are some benefits for different communities, like in communities that are very affluent with large properties. They have a supply factor that really is very favorable. So I know one consortium is Bannockburn in Deer Park, I think it is, or I'm sorry, Killdeer got together because of the nature of their homes, and they were able to get a very good rate.
Okay. Well, it sounds like it's all plus. I mean, the
Right,
year,
right,
the year went
absolutely.
very well. I mean, we
Right.
had no complaints with Integris.
Right,
So
right.
now what people are going to do right now is you've got a letter that's coming out. Integris is sending it out, but it'll have the village logo, so it's going to
Yeah,
look
both
like,
Village and Integris. So that's the letter from
and it's going to come
Integris.
on May 14th, I think,
Right.
is the day they
It's,
plan to
right.
mail. And that'll give you more information about
Right.
electric aggregation. But if you want to be in it and stay in it, you just stay
do
in
nothing.
it. You
Yeah,
don't have
you
to
don't
do
have
anything.
to do anything. You get that material. You can, of course, read it. And if you want to know more information, go to the village website, because we'll have that information along with additional information on there to talk.
Okay, and
to
the only
speak
thing
to
is, if
some of
somebody
these
doesn't
issues.
want to be in it, if they don't want to be
Right.
part of this
Then
buying
you opt
plan,
out. You can call the phone number that will be in that letter.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the Integris website, or you can send back a postcard that will be included with that
Okay.
letter. So there's 3 different ways you can, opt out. And we expressly and Integris want to make it easy if you do want to opt out. Because people, for various
right,
reasons,
for whatever
wanna do
your
that.
reason, there's no
Yeah.
no skin off anybody's nose
Right,
if you don't
right.
want to.
And,
That's
and
fine.
some people, and I should say this, remembering from last year, some people that are noted having alternative, not all, but having alternative energy suppliers will not even get a letter.
Because they're already in a
because
plan.
Integris knows by the information that we received from Commonwealth Edison and shared with them, again, it's all regulated by the legislation, is that, person X living on such and such a street already has Constellation Energy, let's say. So they wouldn't be able to
Right,
change
so
over.
somebody's
a lot of
already
those
in the
people,
contract.
However, a lot of those people will get the letter anyway. And we will get phone calls. Well, gee, can I now? This is a
Okay.
better rate. Can I sign up with Integris? Well, maybe yes, maybe not.
Well, and
So
some
each
of those
individual-
contracts you
Yeah.
can get out of. So
Correct,
so
and-
they
but
could
you have to
check
pay a
with their.
penalty.
Usually, you have to pay a
Right.
penalty. If
Right.
you're really excited about Integris, but
Right.
you've got a contract somewhere else, check
Yeah.
your contract.
And
Maybe you
Integris
buy
can
out.
help you through that.
Okay,
Or
excellent.
we can help too.
Okay.
And I know the staff is
And the
worked
date
with
to
some
keep in mind
residents.
is May 27th is kind of
Right.
the deadline to kind of say, I
Right.
don't want to be part of it, or whatever you want to
Right.
say. So get your act together by then,
Right.
so that you get what you want. Otherwise, if everything seems to be good, doing nothing, you're in with the bulk of the community, which has gone with Integris
Right.
and with this buying
Right.
consortium. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a complicated subject.
Well, yeah, because it's only a piece of the bill, and
Yeah,
you get
you
into
still
that
get
whole
the
thing,
ComEd bill,
and then
and-
you have all these percentages. Well, you look at this and look at that, and then what's an average home? Well, they give you an average home, but no home's quite average. How many people live in your house? How many square feet is it?
Yeah.
All that stuff. So, but you can get a rough idea. But whatever, all these alternative energy suppliers, the idea is really to save people money.
The goal is
And-
to save money, and it's
yeah.
really nice that you've gone with the renewable
Right.
resources too. I think that's
Right,
interesting
and
for a lot of
again,
people.
we're going to be 100% renewable.
Very good.
Going
Well,
in.
if people want more information, of course, they can call you, they can
Correct.
email. There's a lot of information on the
Yes.
website. There will be information in that letter people are going to
Right.
that they're going to get starting. It goes out on May 14th.
Right.
Get that done and get that looked at by the 27th, and we're good to go. So,
Right.
so that's the story of electric aggregation for this year.
Right,
Thank
and
you.
then there's another year that we'll be looking at next year. Now,
Okay.
probably the savings will be even less next year, but hopefully it'll still be some savings.
Okay, and it's still, like
Yeah.
we said, we saved so much last year. That was
Yeah.
incredible. So
Right.
it was a wonderful thing. It's great
Right.
that everybody's working together on this, so you guys can
Right.
look out for all of us.
Now, I should say one more note. Maybe we mentioned it. We talked about it last year too. There was a movement in the legislature, but it didn't move forward because many people have asked, "How about natural gas?" Right? That's a natural, extension, and they're not allowing that aggregation yet by legislation.
Well,
So-
we've got a consortium all in
Right,
place,
when
so
we
anything
are
goes
able to
forward,
do
you
it,
can make it
we'll-
work. So
Yep.
excellent.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mike. If anybody wants more information, please be sure to check online, give a call, and read your letter when it comes. So thanks very much.
Thank you.